Vladimir Putin. He's been in power for 2 decades, and he's made a mark on the international world stage. He's re-established the Russian Federation as a world power. He's annexed the Crimea and supported Bashar al-Assad in Syria. He's divided the NATO alliance in Turkey with the sale of the S-400 missile system. And he's strengthened the alliance with the People's Republic of China, with his approval rating as high as 80% in 2014. Is the Russian Federation back, or is it just a Trojan horse and smoke and mirrors for underlying problems in Russia? So let's look at the history. So whether it was under the Tsars, the communists, or the current constitution, the Russian people have always been incredibly patriotic about their motherland. Throughout their history, they have made incredible sacrifices for their country against the Mongols, the Ottoman Empire, Napoleon, or the Germans in World War One and World War Two, and they've always come out on top. It's been engraved in the psyche of the Russian people that the threats come from their west. The European plane provides easy access to Moscow, and every leader since Peter the Great has sought to defend this from invasion and expand Russia's border to a natural defence line to protect the motherland. And to the Tsar, this was the Carpathian Mountains with Austria-Hungary and modern-day Poland at the German border. At the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk with Germany in 1917, both of the natural defence lines were removed. Poland was created, Ukraine, Belarus, and the Baltic states for a time. That's why Stalin wanted these back. He annexed Ukraine and the Baltic states in 1939 at the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, and he also seized a mountain region in Romania, as it had a nice river, which is a defence line. After the Second World War, Russia was victorious, and finally, its defence line was the entire European plain. It controlled Poland, Hungary, Yugoslavia to some extent, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, Greece wasn't a problem. But the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 signalled changing times, and by 1991 the communist Eastern Bloc had fallen, with a wave of democracy sweeping across the continent. The Soviet Union had been dissolved, forming new independent states, a total of 19. And even the Soviet Union was dissolved as what became the Russian Federation. Putin has called this the greatest geopolitical disaster of the 20th century. With the exception of Belarus, the entire Eastern Bloc has joined NATO. Ukraine has been pushed towards the west with the annexation of Crimea. But Russia sees NATO as a threat. They see them inching towards Moscow, and of course they want to stop this. So that's why they annexed Crimea. Crimea is a key naval base on the Black Sea, and Ukraine leases this to Russia, or it did. But Putin saw Ukraine edging towards the west and joining NATO and the European Union. But if it did join these, it wouldn't renew the Black Sea port, and that would allow NATO to own the Black Sea, which is something critical to Russian interests. So the only way was to annex it. So we've got to look at why Putin sees the West as a threat. Part of it, he sees them as a legitimate threat. All of the invasions have come through the West, and I believe the Western world poses a threat to the Russian Federation. That's why it wants to dismantle the NATO alliance. It doesn't see the point of it anymore. It sees it as a threat to Russia itself. It's done this in several ways, by using propaganda to influence foreign elections, America, Brexit, in newly democratic regions of Europe. For example, it's helped the pro-Kremlin regime in Serbia and in Hungary. underlining the modern threat to the Russian Federation is perceived as a promise made in the dying days of the Cold War that NATO wouldn't expand past East Germany, and East Germany would remain a buffer state to some extent, like a neutral zone. This promise has been broken. Russia is targeting the West through a divide and rule approach, using multiple tools of influence. Social media, minorities, refugees, and extremists are used to further divide and rule. Cyber warfare has been critical for Russia. Energy security, especially with Germany, they get 80% of their energy from Russia, and of course they don't want that to stop, otherwise the lights and the heavy industry go out and the German cars aren't exported. Military power is a significant tool. That's it. Thank you for watching.